Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the English Daily Book Summary YouTube channel. In order to not stop learning, listen to an English book summary every day for free.
Hugh Blaine, 7 Principles of Transformational Leadership. Create a mindset of passion, innovation, and growth. You have more potential than you realize, but if you feel like you're constantly working hard without making real progress, you're not alone. Many leaders find themselves stuck, putting in effort yet struggling to create the impact they desire. The key to breaking through? Changing the way you think, lead, and inspire those around you. The best leaders are those who ignite passion, drive innovation, and elevate everyone around them. They approach challenges with confidence, focus on opportunities instead of limitations, and cultivate an environment where both employees and businesses flourish. In this blink, you'll learn the 7 core principles that support that kind of leadership. You'll discover how to shift your mindset, build stronger relationships, and guide your efforts toward meaningful, lasting results, both in your organization and in your personal life. If that sounds good, let's dive straight in with the first principle of leadership: purpose. Leadership needs a purpose. Driving in fog is a perfect analogy for leadership without purpose. When fog surrounds you on the road, you instinctively brake, grip the wheel tighter, and turn down the radio. Your body floods with adrenaline as you shift into survival mode. The same happens in organizations when purpose is unclear. Tension rises, enthusiasm fades, and progress slows dramatically. The fix lies in the purpose principle. Think of it as 3 interlocking gears: love, talent, and value. Love is what energizes you, the aspects of work that fuel your enthusiasm and growth. Talent, on the other hand, encompasses your unique strengths, the skills that set you apart. And finally, value focuses on the benefits others receive, how your work improves lives in meaningful ways. Finding your purpose starts with honest reflection. Ask which parts of your day leave you energized rather than exhausted. Think back to your proudest moments. What made them meaningful? And what would customers miss most if you stopped providing it? Then distill those answers into a single, powerful purpose statement. Take someone who trains leaders. Their statement sounds like this: I create leadership workshops so that managers can build stronger teams. Here's how that breaks down naturally when spoken. It begins with I create, what you actually do. Then so that, who you're doing it for. Finally, can, what they gain from your work. A nurse might phrase theirs as, I create compassionate care plans so that patients can heal with dignity. Notice how each one follows the same natural rhythm: your contribution, your audience, their transformation. Nothing more, nothing less. Instead of reacting to whatever comes your way, you begin crafting your ideal leadership day from the ground up. Every meeting, every decision, every hour gets filtered through one question: does this serve what matters most? To go about creating your ideal day, you'll need to take 3 specific steps, all of which directly apply to your purpose. First, reframe your past by viewing setbacks as growth opportunities that strengthen rather than diminish you. Then, you'll need to reclaim your future by identifying which aspirations truly energize you and committing to them completely. Finally, it's time to recalibrate your present by analyzing which daily activities advance your purpose and which waste your energy. These steps transform how you experience each workday, allowing you to make intentional choices about where to invest time and attention. Promises define leadership trust. Promises live in the space between words and action. They're not just what we say, but what we do, the quiet, daily proof of whether someone can count on us. That's why the promises principle, the second principle of transformational leadership, matters so much. It's the steady rhythm of kept commitments that builds trust over time. On the flip side, when leaders tell people what they want to hear but do something else, they create a credibility gap. This leaves employees disbelieving the message, simply because they distrust the messenger. And it's precisely this pattern that's led many employees to become jaded and disengaged, merely tolerating their leaders rather than being inspired by them. To combat this, effective promises must serve a clear purpose. be made voluntarily, and require saying no to competing priorities. As our words carry tremendous weight with those we care about, we must recognize the significance of the commitments we make to them. This understanding forms the bedrock of the cardinal rule of leadership. Always do what you say you will do. Without clear promises, uncertainty and fear flourish in organizations. Performance decreases as specific fears take root. Leaders might shy away from holding team members accountable because they worry about sparking conflict or damaging relationships. Employees may play it safe rather than taking smart risks, concerned that failure could hurt their reputation. And team members might keep valuable insights to themselves if they're worried about not sounding smart enough to higher-ups. These psychological barriers can create an environment where people focus more on protecting themselves than helping the organization thrive. That kind of self-preservation prevents the frank discussions and bold experiments needed for innovation. To implement the promises principle, evaluate which promises you consistently keep versus those you struggle with. Identify no more than 5 priorities that truly matter and take one daily action that aligns with your most important promises. This approach creates the foundation of trust necessary for inspiring passion, innovation, and growth throughout your organization. Projects that project your leadership. The word project often creates a negative response in organizations. Many see projects as cumbersome time wasters rather than vehicles for meaningful, transformational work. The project's principle changes this perspective by focusing not on projects as nouns, tasks to complete, but as verbs, how leaders project their purpose, promises, and priorities into everyday leadership activities. Think of this like the difference between a household light bulb and a movie projector. Both emit light, but the projector extends an image far beyond itself, magnifying its impact. Similarly, effective leaders project their vision outward in ways that illuminate paths for others. To implement the project's principle, start with 5 key strategies. Act smaller by focusing on daily actions rather than just the grand vision. Master your mindset by consciously choosing growth-oriented thoughts. Cultivate ruthless focus even when challenges arise. Create white space, 2 15-minute reflection periods daily. And finally, consider hiring a coach who can provide an unbiased perspective. The center of this principle is the flourishing performance formula, which establishes what successful project leaders prioritize. The formula works as a sequence. First, leaders must personally flourish by living their purpose. This enables them to create environments where employees can flourish. Only then can these engaged employees deliver experiences that cause customers to flourish. This order matters. Attempting to create exceptional customer experiences with disengaged employees or trying to energize employees while personally feeling depleted inevitably fails. Your projects succeed when you apply this formula by starting with your own leadership transformation. Most importantly, shift focus from methodology to outcomes. Too many leaders fall in love with their processes rather than the results customers actually want. Instead, ask outcome-focused questions. What goals matter and why? How will progress be measured? And what value will this create? By keeping your focus on these outcome-oriented questions, you'll be well-positioned to communicate your project vision effectively. Clearly define what needs to be accomplished, but don't stop there. Articulate why it matters on an emotional level and collaborate with others to figure out how to bring that vision to life. By designing leadership projects that project your best self outward, you create repeatable paths to meaningful results that benefit everyone involved. Persuasion drives leadership influence. Every day, 1.7 million airline passengers pass through TSA security, where agents decide if they're safe to proceed. Similarly, leaders face constant evaluation as stakeholders determine if they're safe to follow. This ongoing assessment is at the core of the persuasion principle, the 4th key element of transformational leadership. Persuasion, when done right, is about shaping the thoughts, feelings, and beliefs that drive behavior. When you understand this sequence, you can influence what happens in someone's mind before they say yes to your ideas. The persuasion principle follows a 3-part process. First, build trust and respect. Trust comes from following through on commitments, while respect grows from valuing others' talents. Without these, even the best ideas face resistance. Next, take the time to deeply understand the other person's priorities. Set aside your own interests and listen. When people feel you genuinely care about their goals, they see you as a partner rather than someone pushing an agenda. Only after you've laid this groundwork should you move on to the third step, providing solutions that directly help them achieve their priorities. By waiting until you've completed the first two steps, you ensure that the options you present truly align with their needs. Effective persuasion also requires clear expectations. Start conversations by aligning on objectives and defining success. Clarify roles and decision-making power using a 1 to 5 scale, where 1 means I decide and 5 means you decide independently. Set regular checkpoints, address concerns immediately, and ensure mutual understanding. At the end of the day, people don't resist change itself so much as they resist feeling inadequate or threatened. By addressing the thoughts and emotions behind behaviors, you create a clear path for others to embrace your ideas while maintaining their sense of control. Praise builds peak performance. Every Sunday, 350,000 fans pack football stadiums across America, screaming their vocal cords raw when their team performs well. Yet on Monday, these same passionate individuals return to work, where excellent performance is met with polite applause at best. This stark contrast highlights what the praising principle, the fifth key element of transformational leadership, seeks to address: the power of deliberate recognition to drive exceptional results. The praising principle emphasizes that leaders who instill supreme confidence in their employees gain a competitive business advantage. People who feel valued work with more passion, take more risks, and grow faster than those who don't. Many leaders struggle with praising effectively because they remain trapped in negative mindsets, harboring past resentments, constantly criticizing themselves, or operating from a place of fear. These psychological barriers prevent potential from flourishing in workplace environments. To overcome these obstacles and unleash the power of praise, effective recognition must encompass 3 key elements: sincerity, timeliness, and specificity. Sincere praise comes from genuine appreciation rather than obligation. Timely praise delivered in the moment creates immediate positive reinforcement. And finally, specific praise that details exactly what was done well and why it matters has far greater impact than generic compliments. But praise alone isn't enough. The praising principle works through both positive recognition and what's called purification, the process of identifying and removing performance barriers. While praise celebrates success, purification addresses improvement areas with curiosity instead of criticism. To implement both aspects effectively, adopt a 5-minute evening reflection habit where you ask yourself 5 specific questions. Where did I succeed today in living out my purpose? What enabled that success? Where did I fall short? And what's more, what insights can I gain from all of this? Though this reflection takes mere minutes out of your day, it creates compound growth by systematically applying both aspects of the praising principle, celebrating what's working while curiously examining what isn't, resulting in small daily improvements that accumulate into significant leadership transformation over time. By consistently applying the praising principle, leaders create cultures where employees choose to perform at their highest potential rather than simply meeting minimum expectations. Perseverance drives transformation. Abraham Lincoln failed to be elected or re-elected 12 times before becoming President of the United States, and Sir James Dyson experimented 5,127 times over 5 years to develop his revolutionary vacuum cleaner. Their stories highlight the perseverance principle, the 6th principle of transformational leadership. It recognizes that while talent matters, dogged determination is what truly transforms performance. This principle emphasizes that while talent is important, it is unwavering determination that ultimately drives breakthrough performance. Yet many organizations still focus heavily on winning the war for talent, prioritizing technical skill over the ability to persevere. The result? Teams with impressive resumes but limited resilience when faced with real-world challenges. The perseverance principle addresses this gap by developing both tortoise-like methodical persistence and hair-like rapid adaptation. To strengthen your perseverance muscle, ask yourself 9 powerful questions that build mental toughness. Start by getting crystal clear on your goal. Know exactly what you're aiming for. Then dig into why it matters to you. That deeper reason will keep you motivated when things get tough. Next, be honest about the sacrifices. Will it cost you time, comfort, or other priorities? Acknowledge that up front. Think about the specific skills you'll need to develop, and make sure you're surrounding yourself with people who lift you up, not weigh you down. You'll also need to pay attention to your self-talk. If doubt creeps in, rewrite the story you're telling yourself. And don't wait for obstacles to surprise you. Plan your response before they show up. Finally, build in rewards along the way to stay energized and find role models whose perseverance you can lean on when yours runs low. Of course, building perseverance is easier said than done. Along the way, you're likely to encounter 4 common barriers that can quietly erode your resolve. Inertia keeps leaders stuck in familiar patterns even when they no longer work, making it easier to accept mediocre results than risk the discomfort of change. Ignorance, on the other hand, occurs when technically brilliant leaders remain uninformed about the human side of leadership, focusing on data while neglecting relationships. Next up is inexperience, which is all about lacking specific skills needed for transformation. These constitute a temporary gap that requires continuous learning. And finally, there's indifference. This typically stems from purpose deficit, where financial metrics replace meaningful impact, failing to inspire hearts and minds of employees. Remember that successful execution means failing forward faster. Speed works best when supported by the right capabilities. The most profound perseverance emerges when you fall so deeply in love with your purpose that obstacles become merely temporary challenges on your path to transformation. Preparation creates purposeful leadership. Many executives describe themselves as human doings rather than human beings, constantly racing through meetings and emails with no space to think. This reactive pattern leads to accidental leadership rather than purposeful direction. This is where the 7th and final principle of transformational leadership comes in, the preparation principle. This is all about the importance of establishing personal transformation before organizational transformation. At its core, this principle teaches leaders to welcome obstacles rather than avoid them. Think back to Apollo 13. When the crew's oxygen tanks exploded 200,000 miles from Earth, the mission seemed doomed. Yet NASA engineers worked around the clock to redesign systems, creating solutions that brought the astronauts home safely. What could have been a tragedy became their greatest engineering achievement precisely because the obstacle demanded their best thinking. Leading with this kind of clarity requires a foundation built on consistent inner work. The preparation principle rests on 4 core motivators that shape that foundation and drive leadership growth. First up are dreams. By dreaming, you create productive dissatisfaction with the status quo, making you unwilling to accept current limitations. Next up are courageous choices. They're what move you beyond comfortable routines toward unfamiliar territory. Then comes unwavering beliefs, which help you reject victimhood and affirm your capacity to shape circumstances rather than be controlled by them. And finally, daily actions build momentum where you consistently advance your purpose. So, how can you implement this principle? Each evening, ask yourself 5 specific questions. Where did you create the most value today? When were you most present and engaged? What pivotal events occurred and how did you react? Where did you fall short of your potential? And what are you excited to create tomorrow? By consistently answering these questions, you'll identify patterns in your leadership, build self-awareness, and make deliberate choices rather than defaulting to habitual responses. This simple practice accelerates your development by connecting each day's experiences to your broader purpose and leadership vision. By intentionally designing your leadership rather than allowing it to develop accidentally, you create the foundation for inspiring passion, innovation, and growth throughout your organization. The main takeaway of this Blink to 7 Principles of Transformational Leadership by Hugh Blaine is that transformational leadership begins with you, not your organization. By mastering the 7 principles, finding your purpose, making meaningful promises, projecting your vision through projects, persuading through trust, praising with specificity, persevering beyond obstacles, and preparing deliberately, you create environments where excellence flourishes naturally. These principles work together as a system, each one reinforcing the others. As you implement them daily, you'll shift from merely reacting to circumstances to purposefully designing both your leadership and your life, inspiring extraordinary results that ripple outward to everyone you lead. Okay, that's it for this Blink. We hope you enjoyed it. If you can, please take the time to leave us a rating. We always appreciate your feedback. See you in the next Blink.